Hi guys, welcome to episode 9 of the BFS Fan Page Rampage. This is the January 2019 episode. It is the 18th of April 2019. This episode is sponsored by being too fucking busy all the time.
Goodness gracious. You know what I thought? I kind of thought you'd come up with something, but that was brilliant. Good Lord. You're right. I mean, man, we've missed a lot of stuff, but gosh, has it been busy, you know? I mean, and not like in that way where you just say things are busy, you know? Like, I get it. Like, people, I do that all the time, man. I'm just too busy to do this, or I'm too busy to do. It's just been crazy. I was telling somebody, I ran into somebody the other day. We'll probably get into this with all the questions or whatever, but I started listing like all of the stuff that I've been involved in this year already. And they were just like, whoa. I'm just like, yeah, it gives my wife anxiety as well. But you know what, man? We're rocking and rolling, and tons of cool shit coming up. And excited to be back doing this thing with you, and excited to be seeing you in a few days in Ireland, getting to hang out, watching you get hammered on Guinness.
Well, that's Jaret talking, and if you've ever listened to Jaret Goes to the Movies, you will know how super mad he gets when people talk and he's not introduced them yet. But that's Jaret, by the way.
I mean, God, good Lord, don't you feel like they're onto us by now? Like, who's who on this? I mean, we've done like what, almost
You mean
5
the
episodes?
7 people who listen to this podcast? I think they know who we are. Yeah, it's like my mom, your wife, you know, my girlfriend.
This podcast gets a lot of listeners. It really does. Like, it's like upwards of like 8,000-10,000 listens a thing. So that's not too shabby for a monthly podcast that goes about every 6 months now.
That's right. This is the biannual fan page celebration.
But good Lord, I mean, for us to catch up, it's crazy, right? I mean, we haven't done an episode since December.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, since then the live DVD came out, which had been delayed several times. It's funny. I catch a lot of shit for stuff getting delayed, and it's just one of those things where it's like you always want to have it out by a certain date, and like in fact, this one was, you know, the idea was to try to have it out last summer, and then once we got into it, there was no way that was going to happen. So it was like, okay, well, we'll do it around Thanksgiving weekend or whatever, and then there's just so many things that go into it, and like, I'm sort of wondering why we even do some of the shit we do on DVDs now, because, you know, like, you have to have this menu and like this authored menu so that people can go to whichever song they want and this and this and this. And it's just like, why don't we just sell it to where you just put it in and it just starts, you know? Like, really, what are people going to say? You know, because I put in a DVD for the first time the other day in a long time, and I was just sitting there and I go, what do I do? Which remote do I do? And how does this work? And the movie just started playing, and I was like, holy shit. But then I realized it's a really old DVD, and they weren't doing that kind of shit. There weren't even previews yet.
No.
You know? So anyway, that was a long work that we did, but we got it done, and it's out there, and the reviews have been great, and we're super excited about that. And then Rob, bass player Rob, got engaged. So we're happy for him. He's doing, they're starting to plan their wedding now, which is awesome. And then I did my first Heartache and Hilarity. And if you're wondering how I'm going through this chronologically so well, like, you're thinking that, did he really like sit down and do his homework or whatever? No, I didn't. I'm just looking at my calendar and scrolling through it. And that's how we're getting there. But I did my first Heartache and Hilarity here in the States, and it was awesome. I mean, man, the shows were pretty much sold out, and the response was great. And so it's one of those things where I'm excited to get back out there and do more. Rockstar Dad show has been going really, really well. So I have that on my notes. So podcasting has been crazy. Jaret Goes to the Movies, completely revamped now. And excited about that. Rockstar Dad show. We've got some crazy guests coming up. Candlebox is coming up soon, and gosh, more than I can even throw at you. So make sure you're listening to Rockstar Dad's show. Then me and Kelly. Oh no, then I did 2 videos with Not Your Girlfriends, so those are coming out now. So Not Your Girlfriends are kicking ass. Super excited about what they're doing. And then me and Kelly's album came out, and that was awesome. We're super excited about that. I did some touring in the U.S., did some touring of Texas, and then up in the Midwest. Bowling for Soup show's going great. I mean, again, there's this crazy resurgence everywhere. It's just like, now when I don't see the sold out sign, like I get like, it hurts my feelings, you know?
Right. Okay.
And next week we go to Belfast, Dublin, and then Gros Rock in Belgium. And it's going to be a great trip. I'm excited. So, I mean, that's kind of everything, I think. Also, I'm a father of 3 and a husband, and I have 3 dogs and very little life outside of work and family. But, I do that to myself.
So there you go. I mean, if you guys were wondering where the podcast's been, Jaret's had all that going on. I've been like drinking beers, so it's been a long 4 months. we've been busy.
To be fair, though, we've tried to schedule it a few times. Like, it's been one of those things.
So
we say like we need to podcast, and then we like it gets yes, okay, hit me on this day, or this week should be good, and then it just kind of rolls by, and it's just one of those things where
I scrolled back the other day, and I think January the 16th is the first time I messaged for this one and said, let's schedule this podcast. So we've been trying.
I didn't even talk about, though, the fact that like spring is so insane with kids. Like, I got one daughter that's driving, but she's doing her own thing. I mean, she's got friends and a job and her own life, She's self-maintaining now at this point. But Jack is in football, and he's got his stuff going on, and Everett's in baseball and karate and piano, and he's got all his shit going on. And, it's just, it's a nutty time. But I'm looking forward to summer. Obviously, we've got, do I talk about what's coming up here too? That's what I do, right? I like let them know what's coming. Yeah. So one thing that I wanted to do on this podcast is just explain BFS 25. I wanted to explain the weekend so that it's a little bit more clear. I know that there's some confusion, and you know what? There's always confusion in anything, because you can't ever cover all the questions in an advert, But Bowling for Soup weekend taking place June 6th through June 9th, and it's 4 days. It's all in the same place. There are hotels right near there. On Thursday night, we are doing Jaret Goes to the Movies live, and we'll be doing the cult classic, The Last Dragon, with the star of that movie. So that's what's happening on the Thursday. There's a price for the ticket, but the ticket includes your dinner. So essentially, you're basically paying for your dinner and a place to be and there. Now, there are some upgrades. I don't have anything to do with those as far as like the seating and stuff. And there is a meet and greet if you want to meet the guy from the movie. Again, I have nothing to do with that. So that's all on the Lava Cantina website. And then the next night is Bowling for Soup presents the Nixons and Offended by Everything. The Nixons are a band from here that had some hits back in the day, took us on tour a bunch. Bowling for Soup, we will all be there in the building. There'll be cool shit around, photo booths and things like that. We'll jump up on stage with the band and play some songs. And then afterwards, Bowling for Soup karaoke, which we've done before here in Dallas on Bowling for Soup weekend. And it's a blast. It's just, any Bowling for Soup song you can think of, the guy has it, and you can get up there and karaoke. We jump up with people. Great stuff. Then on Saturday night, it's Bowling for Soup show with Not Your Girlfriends. That's going to be insanity. That one will sell out pretty soon. So if you're undecided, you may want to start making your decisions pretty quick. And then, let's see. Then Sunday, there's a brunch that your food is once again included in your ticket. And then Bowling for Soup acoustic and question and answer, and then that kind of thing. So there are tickets for each individual day. If you don't want to go to all of them, there's all-encompassing tickets for each day, and then there's tickets that have like meet and greets and all of that stuff. So hopefully I've explained that well enough to where you understand, like, you can go Thursday and Saturday if you want, or you can go all 4 days and pretty reasonable, I think. If you just want to go all 4 days, because we kept the ticket prices low on purpose, and really because anticipating a lot of people flying in for it. So I really am excited about it, man. I think it's going to be an awesome weekend. I hope we can make it into something that happens every year. And then we'll be going on tour with Real Big Fish, co-headline in the States. So you'll get headline sets from both bands, Mest on the West Coast and Nerf Herder on the East Coast. And then Reading and Leeds Festival. Holy crap, back in the UK. So busy time coming up. And then those of you in the Midwest of the U.S. who are giving a shit about not coming there with the Real Big Fish thing, be patient. We'll be announcing the Midwest shows for the fall soon. And then also UK peeps that are pissed because we haven't announced a tour over there in a while. We can't announce anything until after Reading and Leeds. And once Reading and Leeds are done, we'll be able to announce what our plans are for over there. And I promise you're going to be happy. So, goddamn, we did it.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have,
all
guys.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Did you drink a coffee today?
I didn't, and in fact, I'm actually really tired. I'm trying not to appear to be tired, but I'm fucking exhausted. Me and Kelly had a weekend of house shows, and then it's just been a busy week extended from that, and I just haven't really caught up, and it's been really rainy around here, and I'm just kind of trying to stay awake, trying to stay afloat, sir.
Okay, man. Well, I'll do some talking for a while so you can catch a breath then.
Sounds good.
Now is the point where we'd usually throw over to Fiona Freeman, who runs the fan page, to announce the poster of the month. But she is busy with kid stuff. She also has a super busy schedule, so we couldn't make it work tonight. But she did send me a message to say, for being an awesome member of the page and always being first to take part in anything and everything he's doing on the page or for the band, this month's poster of the month is Joy Hollinshead. So, Joy, when you hear this, if you want to drop me a message with your shirt size and address, we will get some stuff out to you.
Yes. I love people that win.
Winning is way better than losing.
Wait a minute. I said that wrong. I don't love people that win. I love when people win. I love people whether they win or lose.
Right. Okay. Because I was like, there's like 5,500 people who didn't win that. So, you guys suck.
Yeah. Sorry, you guys are sucky, and I don't love you. I'm kidding. I love you all, and you're awesome.
Okay, so next thing up is BFS in the news. Now, it's been 4 months, so I'm not going to read any bullshit about fucking which is your favorite color of mouse or some shit with the alternative press, because they will have that countdown somewhere. So main stuff in the news over the last 4 months has been reviews of the DVD release, the Warped Tour 25th anniversary announcement, and the Jaret and Kelly release. So how's reception of the DVD been? Has everyone liked it?
Yeah, man, reception of the DVD's been great. Couple of people that wish that it were some crazier quality sound or something, or I don't really understand. I mean, literally like a couple. I'm so out of the loop on any of that shit now, like I seriously don't ever put a DVD into the DVD player. But yeah, it's been received greatly, and super excited about it. I mean, it's Eric's final performance in the United Kingdom with Bowling for Soup, so it's become even more of something that I feel like people want to have and be able to revisit and stuff. And yeah, man. And then the reviews for Jaret and Kelly have just been, I mean, probably the best reviews. Well, no, not probably. Absolutely the best reviews I've ever gotten out of Bowling for Soup, for sure, on any of my projects. But I mean, just all very positive and cool, and it's just been a blast. I mean, we're working on our video for our second single now. And definitely going to ride this thing and try and get some live shows in early next year when both of our bands kind of settle down from, this being our 25th year tour, and then Dolly Rots have a new album coming out. So things really won't settle down until first part of next year when we can start thinking about doing some stuff together.
Well, I mean, we should probably talk briefly about Schooled as well.
Yeah,
in the news.
Man, crazy thing. I mean, the thing is that started last August, and they were looking for a theme song. We submitted a couple of ideas. Sorry, Daniel. See, I told you I was tired. We submitted a couple of ideas, and we ended up getting past the initial submissions and into just where they were like, hey, we want you all to do it. We ended up submitting 14 different versions and all completely separate songs. I mean, like 14 different songs. And we got it. And so what Schooled is a spinoff of the show, the Goldbergs. Thank you. And some cool insight to the Goldbergs is that Adam Goldberg, who writes the show and is his little kid version of him, is the main character in the show. Big Bowling for Soup fan, and also Haley Arantia, who plays the daughter on the show, is from my neighborhood that I lived in several years ago, and I actually worked with her on some music, and there was talk of me managing her, and she used to babysit my kids. So super small world that there would be a spinoff of that show, and me and Kelly would get the theme song. And so hopefully the full version of that song, we're hoping that will be out over the next few months, sometime probably around early summer. But show's doing really well. I know I've had some people from the UK that don't quite understand it and don't think it's funny. And I feel like that's the exact same way I feel when I watch a British comedy. So not everything translates.
Yeah, I think you've got two things. School, the atmosphere of school and everything is very different here than it is in the States.
Oh, right.
But also I've only seen one episode of Schooled, but having watched all the Goldbergs, there's a lot of very 80s stuff. So if you either are too old or too young to get those references, then and I imagine Schooled is probably similar later on.
I think Schooled is more of like a 90s thing. I'm going to be honest, I actually haven't watched it because I never watched the Goldbergs. I don't watch television. So there's a few shows that I watch with my wife that are, like binge watch kind of shows, but I don't watch TV. But from what I hear, it gets rave reviews and it's doing really, really well. So, and the chick from Ally and AJ, who we used to play with at Disney shows when she was a little kid, is the main character. So, pretty crazy stuff.
So, only other thing is the Warped Tour 25th anniversary. I mean, did that come as a surprise to you after the initial Kevin Lyman announcement a couple of years ago, or was that always kind of in the works? And how do you feel about kind of going back for seemingly, I guess, one last try?
No, it actually it doesn't surprise me. And when he said that he wasn't going to do it, because it's sort of reminiscent of when Bowling for Soup did our farewell tour so that we could take some time off. What he, in his announcement, he said, we're not going to do it coast to coast anymore. It's a long summer. It's hot. Everybody's tired, and so I had a feeling that it would be more event type stuff, that it would be more of like a Lollapalooza kind of thing that moves around from place to place with a certain number of them each summer. I think it's smart how he did it this summer with one on the West Coast, one in the middle, and one in the East. Obviously the more populated area got 2 days and a crazy amount of bands. And so it's been very much, mostly just insanely positive, but a few people pissed that, that it's not coming to their town. But yeah, I'm stoked. And I think this sets precedent for what he'll do over the next several years. I think you'll see just a lot of Warped Tour branded kind of things happening. We did the cruise a year and a half ago, and it was great. So more things like that. He actually asked Bowling for Soup to be one of the bands at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction of the Warped Tour exhibit, and we had to turn it down because it's our anniversary weekend. So unfortunately, we're not going to play. I'm still not going to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
How does it feel to go from kind of starting out there to being a staple, or even more than a staple, being kind of a veteran?
Yeah, like a pioneer kind of thing. It's great. I mean, 2003, 2004, we were, definitely low man on the totem pole. Our band was, 8, I guess, years in at that point. And no, about 10 years, 9-10 years. And we had already sort of done a lot of things that the other bands on that tour hadn't, but yet we didn't have cred. These guys had all known each other, and they're from California or from this band, and they'd all toured together, or they all had some sort of relationship already. And we were definitely kind of the guys that came in a weird spot. We came in by Ernie Ball bringing us to be the headline band of the Ernie Ball stage, which wasn't even a real stage at that point. And we came in and kicked ass. We blew everybody away on merch. Our crowds were just as big as the main stage, and we earned it. And so a few years later, we would come back and revisit it, and we would do the same thing. And by that point, the bands were getting younger, we were getting older, and that kind of kept going through, the 2010 area. And then by the time we started coming back again, the last several years when we were doing it, at least some dates every year, we were, as you said, a staple. We were, we're an institution, and Warped Tour's an institution. We've been together 25 years. That they've gone 25 years. And it's just, I think we're just sort of that band that blends the punk rock side of things to the bands that had like pop hits, and so there's the commercial side of Warped, which is like Simple Plan and Bowling for Soup and that kind of stuff. And then there's the punk rock side of Warped, which is, Pennywise, or even Less Than Jake. Less Than Jake had commercial success, but that was even like in the 90s. Less Than Jake has done just an amazing job of just building this following. Real Big Fish too. I don't know. So anyway, there's just these different kinds of bands who are super successful in their own way, and I feel like Bowling for Soup is just sort of rides this sort of middle area of all that. Not having ever been taken on tour by bigger bands, never really, handed a bunch of never handed any sponsorships or anything like that. We've just always trudged along and done our thing, and we had some success commercially. So, it's nice. We definitely, the dudes that everybody wants to have a beer with, and I think we earned that.
Do you think there's a comfort in being in that middle ground? I mean, when you look at some of the people who've been on Warped, it's Blink-182. Forget Eminem, Katy Perry, some of the names don't really even make sense anymore because it seems so crazy. Do you think there's a comfort in being still there, still rising the ranks through the Warped Tour, but not out, not growing out of the Warped Tour?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about just from a success level, Good Charlotte and Blink-182 are great examples of those bands that just like, them coming to a Warped Tour is like such a big fucking deal. They wouldn't have just done it to do it. I mean, Good Charlotte did the cruise or whatever, but like, I don't know. I think that there's problems that come with being too successful, and believe me, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want my band to be more successful, but I always said, when we really were starting to do this, I was like, I don't ever want to be you too big. Like I feel like you too big is just too big. Like that's just too much. I just think with the insane amount of pros comes an unbelievable amount of cons as well with that.
Yeah.
So I always said I want to be Everclear big. Yeah. So I'm not sure how big Everclear got in the UK, but like
no, not big.
Not big. So they got big in the US, but like not arenas and not like even sheds, but like 4,000 or 5,000 people a city, but songs on the radio. And like, it was just this really like they're not in the tabloids, and it's just like this cool sort of, area where like they'll always be able to play shows and people will always know their songs, but they can fucking go into Starbucks and whatever, take a shit in the public. I don't know where I was headed with that, but so yes, there is I do like the fact that we can still go on the tour and that our crowds are in the bigger As far as, I mean, we're one of the bigger bands, literally. No, but crowd wise on the tour. But we can still, walk around and go get beers with people and stuff. Does that make sense? Like, I hope it does. I like 1 year Good Charlotte came back on, and for good reason. They had to be moved around the tour in these white vans, so like from their bus to the stage, they had to be driven. And I get it. I'm not taking I'm not like, cause I've made fun of the Backstreet Boys for like thinking that it sucked to try to walk through the airport. And I'm just like, well, maybe not wear a fur coat and have 2 huge bodyguards by you. And then people won't not like put on a hat, but so I get it. But to me, that sort of takes the whole fun out of the whole thing. I mean, just being able to just walk around is part of the whole thing. So, again, I'm not taking anything away from those dudes. That was 100% necessary for those guys, and it really was fucking crazy the year that they came out and did a couple of shows. So I get it, but I'm to go back to the original question. I'm super happy with where we sort of where we live in the Warped Tour world.
I like the idea that 20-something years ago, you said, I don't want to be you too big. I want to be able to take a shit in a Starbucks. And that's why you got to the level you are. Otherwise, you would have been you too big, but you said, no. I don't want to.
I said nay. That's right.
No, that makes sense. I mean, you probably would have been, allowed in Canada if you'd have done that, but okay. I'm going to move on because I've just been asking you shit that's completely not on the agenda because I was interested. So the next thing is this day in Bowling for Soup history. So we're recording on 18th of April. 18th of April 2012, you posted a selfie from the rehearsal room for the Fishing for Woo's US tour with Patent Pending. You got any memories of that? How did that go? I will just say one thing I noticed when trying to find literally any info about this tour is it was very evident that this was immediately post label drop because there is no marketing, can't find a single tour poster online, can't find anything, nothing. Even on Facebook.
What tour are you talking about?
So this would have been right after you got back from the acoustic tour.
Okay.
And you did a few shows with Patent Pending for Fishing for Woos.
Oh, okay. What was it called? You can't get rid of us, or?
No, that was the UK one.
Okay.
It was that, and that was a couple of years before.
Oh, and we did the USA. You're saying?
Yes, yeah, it was a US tour.
Yeah.
I can't find what the tour was called. I can't find anything because all there is your Instagram posts. I can't find. There's nothing on the Bowling for Soup Facebook. There's no tour posters. I can't find any tour dates other than stuff from where you played with Patent Pending on your Instagram.
Well, weird time that would have been, though, as far as social media is concerned, because, I mean, gosh, that was 9 or 10 years ago.
Yeah. Stevenson University is the only venue I found that you played on that tour. So
yeah.
And the reason I found that is because you said, even if nobody shows up to see us, at least the crab cakes were good.
So I'm thinking actually that might have been the same tour we took the Dolly Rots out for the first time. And because we were talking about that this weekend, me and Kelly, because it has been 10 years. We took the Dolly Rots and Patent Pending out. And if it wasn't the first time, maybe it was the first time we took Patent Pending out. I'm not sure. But either way, if I remember correctly, we probably didn't even name the tour. We probably just called it Fishing for Woo's Tour and put a couple of years on it. And because that was the big move back in the day, like we still do that from time to time. It's like Drunk Enough to Dance tour, and then you put the year that you're on and the next year, and that way you don't have to keep getting laminates printed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were talking about a few shows that happened during that, and one in particular in New Jersey where we just played this bar and it was just a shithole, and man, it was just packed, and we had such a great night, and getting to know the Patent Pending guys there for the first time, or really just get to know them, and they were all such characters. We used to call them like the young us, because they just would storm into a room and just and like all of our crew would be like, oh God, like get these guys, and
you say it like they're used to, and that's not changed.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have calmed down some, to be honest. And, and that just comes with age and kids. There's just...
And Ritalin.
Yeah, there's just... yeah, there's just nothing you can do about that. Well, and Joe's always at the gym now. He's not ever hanging out. He just goes to the gym. But, that's why he looks like he does and I look like I do. And, but yeah, so, anyway, really, obviously great that we got to know them. And, you fast forward and now Rob's in both bands and couldn't be happier with him, coming in and doing what he's doing in our band and still he's able to be with them and man, it's just going great. So, that was a really good time. I mean, a crazy time really, if you think about, it was like we had just gotten dropped from this label and we were trying to work a ballad to radio, we were trying to work Turbulence and just a really weird time. And you're right, we weren't getting a lot of press, so we didn't get a lot of attention. But the good thing about that is that we had a couple of records that, not a couple, I guess Sorry for Partying and kind of Burrito was where you sort of started to see a few press outlets to where we weren't, the golden boys of hilarity anymore, and so like we sort of the tongue-in-cheek aspect of our band sort of started to get on some people's nerves that wrote articles about us. And so it's kind of good that we had a little bit of time where we weren't in anybody's face. And we're able to come back and do, we did the One Big Happy record, all of those bands that I mentioned before. And then, and then Lunch Drunk Love, which is my divorce record, which critically was fucking great, and then kind of just got back to what we were doing and seemed to work. What? No,
I've talked about this on the podcast before, but just so you guys know, that was an example of business, Jaret. Critically, my divorce was great.
Yeah, I mean, it fucking worked in our favor. It fucking tore me apart, put me on fucking drugs and not like drugs, but, medication, gained a bunch of weight.
Maybe this is why you struggled to get better for such a long time, because you kept telling your therapist, like, I mean, it's going great. It's looking great. Yeah. I have never had more money. It's going brilliant.
It's business is awesome, like.
No press is bad press.
Man, you got me on that one, buddy.
So a new segment on the podcast this time because we ran out of TV appearances that were actually on the internet. So I don't know. BFS on camera. So we're going to talk about the Punk Rock 101 video, how filming that was. I know there's a few stories out there about fucking falling asleep, standing up and shit.
Yeah.
Talk about.
Yeah, the Punk Rock 101 video shoot. It was back in the day where we actually had some pretty big budgets for these things. Sorry. And yeah, we rented this huge warehouse and basically set up, not we. I mean, we had directors and it was back, you had catering and all these different actors and just people around it. Just like you could just watch the money, just fucking every bagel that everybody ate. You just see dollar signs going up and it was like, Jesus Christ, we're spending lots of money. But that was a 26-hour shoot from the time that we got there. Shitload of wardrobe changes and just tons and tons of different things going on and just fast motion mosh pitting and slow motion and set up a classroom and a hair salon and Chris crushing the director and then but basically like we did all of this extra shit, us coming out of the bus and all of that. By the time we got to the live performance, we had already been there like 20 hours, maybe something like that. And so, as we're filming that thing, the live performance, we're all exhausted. And I actually wasn't feeling well. I was pretty sick the whole time. So I was sick. I had some drinks. I was tired. And we're playing that, and you can just... I can still hear it today, just like the director's going, Jaret, open your eyes. So like there's a lot of shots of me during that particular video where I am really, really opening my eyes up. And if you like compare that one to like the videos before and after it, which I guess would be, 1985 and Girl the Bad Guys Want, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like my eyes are like, I'm full on just trying to do as big eyes as I possibly can. And But yeah, man. And then, that video is cool because they took it, they edited it, and then like the helicopters that fly over on the front were like a surprise for us. And that was cool. And, so yeah, man, just definitely still one of my favorite videos. Like it's cool that we got the chance to make videos like that. It's definitely hard to spend money like that anymore. But that one in High School Never Ends and Almost in 1985, where we got to do just so much stuff. And, I'm glad we lived through those days. But the amount of money that we spent, I mean, we were still recording to film, I believe, it was fucking expensive, but we made it through.
Yeah, I mean, obviously times have changed, and it's rare you see a music video anymore that's not just the band playing in front of a green screen. But I mean, look at the Catalyst video. You're still doing shit, and I imagine you're doing shit on a much more logical budget than the record company was. So
definitely, and and also just using less shit. I mean, it's funny. It's like the last several Bowling for Soup videos have been really, really DIY. I mean, like we, just me and Jason and, out there and just doing it. And then like, if you look at Not Your Girlfriend's videos, those are a little bit more in depth and we use a lot more stuff and a lot more lighting. And so I think that eventually Bowling for Soup will be sort of back in the middle of it. But literally you're talking about, doing a video for $1,000 versus $2,500, whereas the bitch song was $25,000, and I think Punk Rock 101 was like $75,000 or something crazy. And then High School Never Ends, I'll never even disclose how much money that cost, but it was a lot. And it's just crazy that we used to spend. And then Turbulence, for example, we were we did that on our own and rented a fucking airplane, and we did it for $5,000. So, videos are expensive, but it's always nice to have that representation of the song.
Next segment in the podcast is, what is Jaret listening to right now?
Well, I love Billy Joe Armstrong's new band, The Long Shot, and my friend Jeff, who was in a band called Ashtray Babyhead, is actually in Green Day. He's the guy that stands stage right back in the back and plays acoustic guitar and sings, and he jumps all the time.
Wow.
And so he's the bass player in Long Shot. And then, man, I love that shit. It's fucking great, especially like the first half is really good. So if you haven't checked that out, I mean, if you're a Green Day fan, it's funny because I've heard some people, they're just like, why didn't you just do these as Green Day songs? And I see what he's doing. Like it really is. It's a completely different band. And I dig it. So
I haven't listened to it yet. How does it compare to the other side project they did with it, Foxborough Hot Tubs?
Yeah, it's just different. I mean, like I felt like all of his stuff, I can see why he does them as different bands, because he's done so many different things. But it's more, it's pretty straight up rock and roll. There's a lot of just sort of like Ramonesy type stuff, and there's like real guitar solos in there, and just a really cool, really well written record. I'm digging it.
Cool. Next thing is the story behind the song, and the fan page has voted for When We Die.
Oh, great. Yeah, good one. So we were working on, see, that's on Hangover. You don't just, no, that's on Burrito. And I was going to write a song with Butch Walker for that record, and we were only going to do one. And we did only do one, I believe, if I'm thinking about this correctly. Yeah, so I think that's the only song that we did together on that record. Oh, no, we did two, but the other one didn't make the album. But we did release it later just as a here's this, I think. I don't remember how we did it, but it's called Straight to Video. So we wrote this song called Straight to Video, and then he was like, do you have a ballad for your record? And I was like, no, I don't. I, really probably should have one. And so, we just started the thing of, the the original idea was he had the line, "I know that we're going to be fine and the tattooed mistakes are going to fade over time." And then so we just started going through that or whatever, and then the whole like, we can't get any of this. To put it simply, when you tell people, you don't live forever, to put it simply, you're not, you can't get any of this back when you die, kind of thing. And so we made one verse up about just sort of like a relationship and sort of like waking up after a night of just being drunk and fighting and being assholes, and there's broken glass in the sink, and most people who drink a bunch, or at least have in the past, know that feeling. And and sort of just waking up and just being like, gosh, we can do this kind of thing. And then that just went over into the whole idea of like, your parents just not really believing in you, or being, almost being ashamed of what you're doing. And all musicians, not all musicians, I think a lot of musicians go through at least a time in their life when their parents are like, okay, time to grow up now, and mine was really late. Like, my parents were really supportive of me playing an instrument. They were just a little freaked out, like, after I graduated from university, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and put all my shit in storage and go drive around in a van for a while and see what happens, And I think at that point it was like, what the fuck is my child doing? And so that was where we drew that inspiration from. And, that song came together really quickly, as most songs that I wrote with Butch came along. I mean, one of us comes in with a line or whatever, as Girl the Bad Guys Want. He had even more than that. You just never know where it's good. Star Song, I think I had the chorus and the first verse, and we just finished it. And so you just kind of never know like where those things are and how they're going to finish. But super proud of that one. The funny thing about When We Die is it's probably the song that got us dropped from Jive. And when I say that, here's why. We really believed in High School Never Ends, and for good reason. If you look at our the way that the audience reacts whenever we play that live, or if you look at our Spotify listens, or our streaming in general, High School Never Ends is up there, like with anything. It's as much, or if I think it's more even than Girl the Bad Guys Want, or almost. I think it's 1985 being the only thing that's bigger than those. And that song went to radio at an interesting time. And again, Christmas has fucked me more than once, because I tell the story about the same thing happening on Sorry for Partying. But the label shuts down early December and is shut down through mid-January, and so they try to come back with guns blazing. Well, High School Never Ends was doing okay at radio. There had been a few people that were just like, this is just 1985 too. And, for me, I was just like, yeah, but it wasn't just blowing the doors down. And so Jive made a decision to just bail out on High School Never Ends after not really much work on it. And they're just like, well, we know for sure that When We Die is a hit, and we're just going to move on to this or whatever. And they were wrong. When We Die did great, but it wasn't a smash. And High School Never Ends would have been. And to back that up, the main guy who did radio for us then, who was the head of promotion, that's what they call the guys that do your radio shit. He was head of promotion at Jive at the time. He is now the co-president of RCA, which is half the labels in the world. And that dude still admits, he's just like, man, that was our biggest fuck up. We should have just came back, and High School Never Ends likely would have been another 1985, but a less specific 1985 that to this day would be, you'd be hearing it in movies and shit like that. So, you can always look back and say what would have been. I feel like I'm correct on that one, and obviously the numbers are there to back it up. But you live and learn. And
I mean, I can tell you from a UK perspective because radio play just isn't a big thing here. It's just the radio isn't as big at all because
Right.
obviously it's so much smaller here.
Sure.
We don't have space for 400 radio stations, you know. So um, music television was really the big thing, especially for rock music, you know, because
Yeah.
it didn't get much radio play. So yeah, I mean, Kerrang, Scuzz, that was where you heard your music. And as someone who didn't have the internet for a long time, I had never seen the When We Die video, but I like that. But High School Never Ends
Yeah.
was, and probably to this probably to this day is my least favorite Bowl of Soup song because it was like Kerrang played it like every 3 songs. It was just on
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah,
all the time, to the point where I was sick of it. You know,
absolutely. No, I totally understand that. And, just yeah, I mean, again, it's like anything else though in Bowling for Soup's career. You can look back and be woe is me about several things. I mean, the fact that had Napster and file sharing not happened, I'd be fucking rich. I'm just not, Um, it just is what it is. But at the same time, I've managed to accomplish a lot of things that some of those bands that had record sales in those times did. And I'm lucky as shit because we live in this world like, our genre streams like a motherfucker. And those rock bands, there's nobody listening to them on Spotify kind of thing. And so again, it's one of those things too where and that's what's weird even having this conversation as well is that radio doesn't mean shit anymore to most bands. I mean, if you have a hit on radio, it's great, but nobody's going for it anymore because it just really doesn't exist. It's like you there's just not room for a rock band out there anymore until someone just decides that they're gonna let one slip in there, and it's just a different world we live in. And we stopped playing the radio game right when we got off Jive Records because that was their deal, and that's what they were good at. For us, it was we just became a DIY band and have remained that, and it's because of that I feel like we've always been able to have that relationship with our fans and for the people that dig our stuff because we're the ones out there doing it.
and I will just say, I said this on the fan page the other day. Ironically, Napster actually pays now the best per stream rate of all the streaming services. So if you want to help your favorite artists when you listen to music, fucking sign up for Napster.
I had no idea.
It's crazy that it's gone from they were the reason that file sharing happened to they're kind of paying penance for that now.
Yeah, I had no idea that was even still a thing. Like I mean, we should look into MySpace as well.
No, I don't think so. I think that's like one guy now.
Yeah.
One guy.
There was a thing a few years ago though where like someone came and was like, "Okay, MySpace is about to relaunch and they're doing this whole music thing and we got to get in from the ground up and yada yada yada." And I was just like, I don't know. Unless they change the name, they're fucked. Like cuz nobody's going to it's too cliche now.
It was in the news recently as well that they just lost like fucking 70% of their music because like they lost the rights to it, and so all the music that content uploaders had put on there is gone. So yeah, I mean MySpace is fucked. MySpace is one guy standing outside a 7-Eleven just saying, "Please, like help me." So
yeah,
you made the right choice with that.
100%.
Final thing, and let's see if we can whiz through this because there's not that many questions, is the Q&A from the fan page.
Okay.
So Eloise Skellet, and let me just quickly say, actually, this is the point where I mispronounce people's names. I'm very sorry. I don't care. Eloise Skellet says, "What is your favorite thing that a fan has done or said at a show?"
I don't know. That's a tough thing because it's there's 25 years of that. I like it when people come up and share that one of my songs has helped them or like makes them happy on a bad day. That's pretty much my favorite thing that happens from time to time. It happens all the time, but and the sad ones are like hit me in the heart, where it's like because I don't want anybody to ever hurt. But again, anytime that things that I made up in my underwear at my kitchen table, are helping somebody that's having a bad day or a bad month or a bad year, that just feels really good. And I that's sort of why I'm still doing it. Other than it's my job, but and I like my house, and
You don't want to be the MySpace guy outside the 7-Eleven.
No, I don't want that.
Adria Bowman says, what's something that you hate that everyone else seems to love?
Okay, something that I hate that everyone else seems to love. Well, first of all, I hate Led Zeppelin, but I think that I don't really feel like I'm as alone in that as I used to be. Everybody seems to like tequila shots. I don't like it, but I do it because I bake. Oh, yeah, thank you. My wife just walked in and she actually just hit the nail on the head. This one's easy, and I don't know why I didn't say this first. Bacon. I don't like bacon.
Oh yeah.
And everybody likes bacon. But again, that gets us into the bacon thing where half of my fans are from the United Kingdom, and y'all's bacon is fine because we call that ham. But for you guys that want to know what we're talking about, so what people in America call bacon, you guys call streaky bacon or fat back bacon, and that shit's fucking gross.
So when you guys say ham,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
When we say ham, it's just like ham, like you cut off, like there's this big, like fucking, I don't know what part of the ham it is, probably their ass, because it's this big.
We call that gammon.
Gammon. Okay, cool. And then there's Canadian bacon, which is also ham. And in fact, pizza places here used to call it Canadian bacon. They don't even call it Canadian bacon anymore. They just call it ham now. But does your bacon must just come from a leaner place than our bacon comes from, because it just tastes like ham, and I like that. I just don't like the fatty parts of the bacon is what I don't like. Grease makes me, I don't like grease, or I don't really like butter.
But do you like grease too?
I like grease too, yes, I do. I like grease too.
David DM asks, what is one BFS song you would consider to be one of your favorites, but is super underrated?
BFS song, one of my favorites, super underrated. Last Call Casualty is what I feel, but I'm not sure how underrated it is. What's funny is, like, with every album, there's always the song where I think people are gonna fucking love this one, and like nobody says anything bad about it. You just don't ever hear anything good, like it just kind of becomes one of those that people just sort of just go past, or listen to on the thing. But yeah, Last Call Casualty is one. Let's see, there's got to be one off the last record that I thought people would really like, and the other one that I really liked was that song that we had called Smiley Face, It's All Good. I fucking loved that song, and I don't know why people didn't gravitate towards it. We even had like a guy make a claymation video for it and stuff, and just, I don't know, just one of those. I feel like that song should be more received.
You know what both those songs have in common is super American references. That's why.
Oh.
None of the UK fans get it. So you've got Last Call Casualty. We don't use Star 69. So he in that song he's in bed with her and then he hits Star 69. That sounds like a super dirty thing, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
We call that 1471.
Oh, okay.
So that's what the problem is there.
I need to just start sending you lyrics before I cut them, and then I could do British versions. Because like Jarinus, we did football. It's awesome, and we also did football. It's awesome.
Yeah, we should do that. I'll rewrite your references and make them UK
or just
funny.
At least highlight the shit you don't understand, and then tell me what, or you will understand it. But like, hey, they don't know what this is, but this is what they do, and then I'll just remake the rhyme, and we have UK version of the album.
And Smiley Face, I think, is the one where you talk about the Macy's Day Parade, right?
Yeah.
That we don't have.
Of course you don't. Yeah, well, that's true.
So.
But to be fair, I've been doing American references my entire career, and it hasn't really hindered me.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
I get it.
We don't.
No, but
We
that
don't.
is a good point, though.
We also don't have celebrity golf with Alice Cooper.
Do you? How about Pooper Scooper? Isn't that from that same song?
Yeah, well, yeah. We wouldn't call it that. You'd pick it up in a bag.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
a dog poop bag.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Okay.
Kaylee Brennan asks, "Do you have a lucky charm or anything similar that you take with you whenever you're on tour?"
No, I don't. And the reason why I don't do that is because I would tend to lose it. And that, man, when you go on tour and you know this, Daniel, like you're on a bus, it's like it's so hard to keep up with anything. It really is. Like you because you try to be disciplined and put stuff where it goes each and every night. But the minute you just throw something in your bunk, you don't see it for 4 days. And I mean, that's like a hoodie, like sometimes you just don't even see your hoodie for 5 days. And then it just
You know why
turns up.
that is? It's because all of the bedding is black and all of our clothes are black.
No,
That's the problem.
That's 100% true. Well, and also just the fact that everyone's clothes are black. And then it's just, different sizes of that and 16 bunks.
Yeah, well, when we got back from the Christmas tour, Bernie texted the group like, "I brought my hoodie back, but it's like 7 sizes too small." Or something. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a Dolly
Totally.
Rots hoodie,
Yeah.
and he had John Smith's.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just fucking happens. Everyone has the same clothes, and if you listen to the last podcast in December, then you will know that it's super easy to just. Jaret loses his luggage for 3 days,
Jesus
so
Christ.
so,
No, I didn't lose my luggage, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Jaret's luggage is in the bay, and if he had a lucky charm, we would have lost that shit for 3 days. So
Damn it,
that's
3
fine.
days, And if we'd have been in Europe, it would probably have pee on it because those fucking bogs leak. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
I digress.
Sarah Nuremberg, I think, says, "What part of BFS 25 are you and the guys most excited about?"
Well, obviously the show. I mean, that's going to be great. We're gonna have that. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited about it. I'm really excited about the brunch too. The brunch is selling really well. I think it's probably going to have to be moved outside, or it's going to sell out pretty soon. So, I just think the whole weekend's going to be great. The movie podcast, we're excited about it. Casey's not going to be able to be there, which sucks. Because we have another thing that we committed to do with the kids that is a big deal. And what? Oh, it is? Oh, yeah, no, that's a different thing. Oh, Casey will be there. Boy, glad you walked in when you did. Really killing it
Twice.
over here. Yeah, that's twice she's contributed.
Isn't this how she got a spot on your other podcast?
100%, yeah, and also how she got fired from the podcast that didn't make it too, because she came in and she'd had some drinks and she wouldn't stop talking, and it was just we only did one episode. She just completely sabotaged it, and that was the end of that deal. So yeah,
That makes sense. Nicole Fleming has 2 questions. Firstly, if you didn't end up being a successful lead singer of Only for Soup, what job would you have hoped to be doing?
well, I wanted to be a corporate psychologist, and so I have the degrees to get myself into that. I probably would have ended up being in some sort of marketing situation, though. I mean, the funny thing about like all of the friends that I have that work for marketing firms or whatever is they all sort of have that same personality. I know a whole troupe of improv comics, and they just write commercials, and that would be fun. And so one of those 2 things I think would be great. I don't know that the corporate psychologist thing would have been for me once I got there, but I like to think that I would have found something creative along the way that would have steered me in that direction.
Nicole's second question is, how did you end up with a Daniel? And if so, why would you want a Daniel? I assume that means, how did I start working for you?
I think that does mean you. Well, Here's what. He found me on Twitter, and he laughed at my jokes, and then I started laughing at his jokes. And when I'd laugh at his jokes, he would point out to everyone that I laughed at his jokes. And then I met him. I love the kid. And then one time I just said, "Hey, you want to just come on the whole tour with me and just drink beers?" And then he came on the tour and started drinking beers. But he started working, and now he basically made himself a position. Just goes to show you, kids. Don't take advantage. Take opportunity.
I thought you were going to say, it just goes to show you, kids, drink beer.
Well, we had to slow you down, but I think we've already been through that.
Yeah, we did that. Cameron J. Nibs asks, is there any track of yours that listening back you would like to rework?
There's a few, actually. Yeah, I mean, I would love to get back a hold of, like, Let's Do It for Johnny. And even, like, I was listening to Ohio Come Back to Texas the other day, and I just feel like I sing that song with so much more energy live, and when I hear it recorded, it sounds really just sort of like flatlined, and that would probably be the one if I had to choose right now. I'd love to go in and just redo Come Back to Texas and just somehow replace it everywhere. But that's a weird one for me to pick because it's easily in our top 10 most popular songs. So maybe I just shouldn't be picking anything. I don't know shit.
It's funny that you say that, though, because you hate live albums. And
Well, that's true.
that's the reason I love live albums, because they have more energy than the studio.
That's true. The reason that I hate live albums, though, is because I just like how recorded things sound, and I like patterns and shit. It's like, for example, my children are very familiar with the soundtrack to Hamilton, okay? And we love it, and we sing it, and we wore it out for a year, and we started listening to it again when it was coming to town. So I took them to see Hamilton. And like the second song or third song in is this song, I Am Not Throwing Away My Shot. And this guy sang it so different that I was just watching Jack's eyes to just see if he was having the same annoyance as I was. And I didn't say anything to him, but you could just see it was driving him fucking crazy. It was like we turned the dude from Counting Crows loose on the thing, and it's just like, it's never going to be the same ever again. Like, I was just the whole time, it was killing me. I like it to sound the way that it sounds, so that's why when people are like, dude, you sound exactly like live, like you sound on the CD, I'm like, yeah, because that's what I fucking sold you. That's what you're coming to hear,
Yeah.
But I get that people like, diversity and jamming and all that shit, and that's just to taste, but I'm just not a fan.
I mean, personally, I think I would rather listen to a Green Day live album than a studio album.
Really?
Green Day is the big one for me, that their live albums is like, I'm right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is I prefer going to the show than listening to the CD, obviously. So
Sure.
For me, it's like listening to being at the show, which moves us on quite eloquently and not at all deliberately to Lucas Zapparoli's question. Which Green Day song do you listen to and go, holy shit, this is their masterpiece?
Oh, fuck. Well, my favorite song is the one I can never pronounce. Hold on. I always forget.
Pascala Dea.
Road to Pass. Hold on. Here, hold on. It's going to come up in a minute. Well, that didn't. Oh, Passalaqua. Going to Passalaqua.
I knew it would be that one you couldn't pronounce.
Yeah. I fucking love that song. But there's also, like, I think Who Wrote Holden Caulfield is really good, because I think just the reference to Catcher in the Rye is so interestingly smart. But their masterpiece, that's tough, man. Everybody knows I fucking love Green Day, right? Like, so that's just really hard. I mean, I guess we'd have to all kind of say American Idiot, because that band had, hold on, listen to my reasoning. They were doing they were back down to doing like 4,000 seaters and stuff. Like they had kind of they had lost momentum, and that's fine. I mean, it was almost like but it was almost like their course had been charted, and we'd just forever be singing Longview forever. And then that fucking video and song came out, and it was just like a goddamn truck just drove through the music world, and it just fucking changed everything for them, And then they went on to be more political like that, and dress in black, and that's when the eyeliner was on, and all that shit, and it just kind of recreated their image as well. So I guess if you had to point to one song that, and obviously there's a goddamn Broadway production called that, so just for the sake of all of the things that song accomplished, hard not to pick that one.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. But is it your favorite?
No, it's not my favorite, but it's, in fact, that era, I'll listen to it, but it's just not what I listen to, I mean, but again, I go sort of back to Insomniac, which is the record that I didn't like on purpose because Green Day was getting popular, and then I was pissed off at myself a couple of years later when I listened to it, and I'm like, God damn, this is so good.
See, for me, I think Christie Road. Christie Road there's something about it that, like, I don't know where the fuck Christie Road is, but I feel like it's home to me. Yeah. Like, there's something about those words, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think, his lyrically, when you can understand what the fuck he's talking about, he's usually got something to say. I just can't understand a fucking thing he says.
Wendy Victoria, this is going to be quick fire now. Wendy Victoria says, what is your favorite movie?
Pulp Fiction.
Craigie Smith says, if you could pick any artist alive or dead to do a duet with, who would it be and why?
Frank Turner, because he's the goddamn poet of this generation.
Jessica Chapman says, if you could give one piece of advice to those going through a difficult time right now, what would it be?
Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to somebody that will listen. Don't bottle anything up inside, because all that does is just build up and build up and build up, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So just communicate and, do your best to take the things out of your life that are not positive.
Mark Tissington asks, and I hope this is a private joke because nobody understood, what's it like being called and growing up with the name Jaret?
Okay. Being called and growing up with the name, I don't think that's an inside joke. I think he's saying, like y'all say, my friend's called Bobby. You know what I mean? Like, that's his name. He's just wondering what it's like having the name Jaret. It's super weird for most of my childhood. Because I was always uncomfortable saying it. So, like, when people ask me my name, I never thought I could say Jaret correctly as a kid. Also, it's weird that it rhymes with parrot and carrot. Super easy to make up shit. My brother would say Jaret, the one-legged parrot sitting on the bathtub eating a carrot. And he was 5 years older, so that would make me cry. And but also, every substitute teacher either called me Janet or Jared or Gerald. And so, yeah. And plus, I have to spell it I can't just say Jaret because you're either going to put 2 R's, 2 T's, or a random fucking I, So, interesting name, but I love it now, and I'm glad I stuck with it. I was gonna change it to Tyrone, but I changed my mind.
John the Giggler asks, is it just ducks, or do you like all kinds of young waterfowl?
I fucking love baby animals, but these goddamn ducks, I think we've got about 20 of them now running around the neighborhood, but I'm positive that there's these geese that are about to have babies, and so I'm waiting for that shit too. So yeah, I just like little baby waterfowl, I guess, but it is mostly these fucking ducks. I found baby ducks 2 days ago on the golf course, and I was very excited.
Sorry, I can't move on from very excited.
I accidentally typed that to Casey the other day, and then I just sent her a picture of Borat, like, basically naked.
Robert Peaston says, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I guess I'd go I don't think you can fuck with invisibility, you know? Like that would be really good. I mean, the only problem with invisibility is that unlike the movies where somebody's invisible, you would still make the noise, you know, and I think people would still be able to feel you in the room kind of thing. But that would be a good one, and it'd be super useful, you know, if you wanted to spend the night in Target or something, you know.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'd do.
Yeah.
Wayne Coffey says, if you decided to live in the UK, where would it be?
God, that would be fucking tough. There are so many places in the UK that I love, so not everybody don't get mad at me about this. I don't know. I probably Manchester. I would think I would start in Manchester because here's my I don't want to live in London. I don't want any part of that shit. So I would probably start in Manchester because I've probably spent the most time there other than London, and I kind of get the vibe, and plus it's a happening place, and there's sports and karaoke and shit. But you know, I definitely, there are other cities that I think are really, really great, but yeah, Manchester.
Kaylee Gibson asks, are there upcoming plans for you and Kelly after the release of your album?
So, as I said earlier, I pretty much am swamped the rest of the year doing BFS 25, and they just are releasing a new record soon. So, excuse me. They're touring as well. And so after we're both done with that, we can start thinking about it. So I think in the fall, we'll be able to start planning some things for early next year. And that is definitely the plan. I would love for us to get out there and do some shows, even if it's like a house party thing in both countries, you know, in the UK and the US or whatever. I mean, I think the songs speak for themselves, and I think that it's definitely something that we want to keep doing.
Dave Wiggy Marlowe asks, are there any plans for Heartache and Hilarity 3?
Yeah. Well, not plans, but I'm definitely gonna do it again. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to get there this September. But maybe in about a year, maybe spring next year, maybe kind of change it up, come over at a different time. But yeah, I will definitely be back for another acoustic tour for sure.
Geraldine Darling asks, did the giant Texan hail balls miss your area this time around?
They did, yeah, both times. We just had them again last night, and we had them last week. So far so good this year, but you know, it's getting pretty crazy around here.
And finally, Casey Yant says, do you know where my grey shoes are?
Yes, they are under the bench behind the couch.
There you go, Casey. You wasted everyone's time. Okay, thanks for listening. This has been episode 9 of the Fan Page Rampage. I'm going to kick Jaret's ass, and we are going to get these monthly again. Please go check out both of my blogs. Hopefully you will hear this before the island shows. I have a tour blog, Daniel Cotton on Tour, all one word. Google that, you'll find it. My other blog is about mental health. If you Google Daniel Cotton from Twitter, again, all one word, you'll find that. Jaret, anything to plug?
Yes, please check out Rockstar Dad Show anywhere you listen to podcasts or live on Adobe Radio on Mondays and Tuesdays. Please check out Jaret Goes to the Movies. If you've tried Jaret Goes to the Movies in the past, give it another shot too. I mean, I think that we're definitely having a lot of fun, and there's a lot of new features, including a random song from the movie each week that we 100% do not rehearse, and we just added in. Follow me on all the socials, JARET2113. Jaret and Kelly, new album out now, jaretandkelly.com, and Bowling for Soup, that DVD is available all over the place. And new music, Bowling for Soup, new music. You heard it here first. Starting in, actually, I'll make this announcement right here, Daniel. Starting in June, we will be releasing a cover a month for a year. Plus, over the next year, we will be releasing at least 6 new original songs that will go straight to stream. And so all of our music for the next year will be free. So 12 covers in the next year starting in June, plus 6 to 10 originals, each song with a video or lyric video going straight to YouTube and streaming, and out there for you guys to enjoy.
There you go. If you want to hear shit like that for the first time from this podcast, and get exclusive information, then you should join the BFS fan page. Search Bowling for Soup fan page on Facebook. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been episode 9. See you later.
See ya.
It's the BFS Fan Page Rampage, the BFS Fan Page Rampage with Jaret